I'm Abby, I have a lot of records, and I fear I skipped just a few too many arm days to truly carry off this look. I'd accepted 2025 as the year of Pink Floyd on this channel. The last mid-season special was a Syd Barrett discography retrospective. I covered not one, not two, not even three, but four of their albums in a massive season-end special about Floyd's post-Syd, pre-Dark Side period. My Tracking Angle debut and my very first published piece of work was a Live at Pompeii album review, and I did something I swore I would never do. I revisited Wish You Were Here in a 50th anniversary retrospective piece exclusive to my website. I thought that's where my Floyd coverage would end. I wasn't even considering A Saucer Full of Secrets until at least April of 2026, but on Sunday, I got a package from Sony Music Entertainment. I got a promo copy of this. The 50th anniversary Wish You Were Here box set. As of me filming this, it's not out for general sale yet. It probably will have been for a few days once this is all nice and edited. Alright! I know content creation isn't a race, but do I feel kind of weird about like everybody else getting their reviews out before me? Yes. But I wanted to give myself some time with this, considering all of this stuff that's in here, and considering what this album is to me. When this album arrived on my doorstep, quite literally arrived on my doorstep, I was faced with two immediate dilemmas. Number one, what about Double Album December? And number two, how am I going to handle Wish You Were Here? The first question was pretty easy to answer. Well, I just had to make peace with the fact that I am going to be disrupting yet another mini-series this year. I would be crazy to turn down the opportunity to talk about this. And to answer the second question, I will not be talking about the core album. If you want to know the backstory, if you want to have a track-by-track breakdown of the album and my very personal history with Wish You Were Here, that's all on my website. I've done my time. I'm not going back there again. But I will try my very best to do this package justice. I will be showing you everything in this very generous gift that has been sent my way, giving my thoughts on how everything looks, how everything sounds. Therefore, you will be seeing a lot of B-roll Abby. There's a lot of stuff in here, but I hope you will forgive her for already taking off the shrink, because I can't exactly review this album if I don't listen to it. Going in, I was deeply invested in how the set would turn out. Wish You Were Here is my favorite Floyd album. I love everything about it. The music, the visuals, the story behind it, the Syd Barrett of it all. I adore Syd Barrett's work. The core album is an ode to a dear friend and a takedown of the music industry machine that in part destroyed this friend, or at least the version of him that these guys once knew. Let's start with one of my favorite things about vinyl records, the poor man's art gallery, I think is what Noel Gallagher said in Squaring the Circle. As a failed art historian, I'm inclined to agree. Let's talk about the packaging. I saw a lot of people online really confused when Floyd changed all of their album art to the black shrink wrap with the white text on streaming services when the 50th anniversary stuff was rolling out. The final idea Storm Thorgerson presented for the Wish You Were Here packaging was the black bag on the outside. Quote, "It seemed therefore appropriate that, in the end, the cover should be absent. This is an album about absence, lack." The original album had this black shrink wrap on the outside, which apparently smelled terrible, with this sticker on the front, designed by George Hardy. This box pays homage to the original packaging, with this black, glossy case on the outside. I don't love that it scuffs so easily, but it does give that shiny plastic effect, with a cutout in the center to reveal the sticker. The sticker being on the booklet. a hardcover booklet. It's meant to be distressed like a road case. 2025 seems to be the year of the Pink Floyd road case with all the Pompeii hullabaloo. And if you'll notice, the stickers reference Dark Side and Obscured by Clouds. Floyd acknowledging Obscured by Clouds. It must be fucking Christmas! Opening up the booklet. Oh, we've opened right up to the passage I was going to talk about. The liner notes by Aubrey Powell are an extract from a previous project he did. It's kind of a bummer we couldn't get an exclusive. We also have words by Simon Armitage, Eric Flanagan, and Steven Wilson, who handled the Mike Millard tapes from LA in 1975. There's wonderful work featured in here. There is mention of the giant prism blowing away, and there are high-quality photos of the gear. If you are interested in that, let me find the one I was thinking of. It's a really nice looking scan. That's the road case. As if we need to see any more road cases. Nice page of backstage passes. There we go. Amp stacks. There are photos of gear in here if that interests you. The one thing I always wish I talked about more on Vinyl Monday is gear. This is a really well-constructed book. There aren't many awkward centerfold breaking up the photos moments. This photo of Rick by Phil Taylor is stunning. The magenta is so strong. There are nice scans of tour material, the Nebworth program, and a reproduction of the poster that we'll see later in this set. There are illustrations by George Hardy throughout. A notable inclusion is photographic evidence of maybe the most fabled moment in all of Pink Floyd history, when Sid showed up, while the guys were mixing Shine On You Crazy Diamond. Nick remembers in his memoir, quote, "I strolled into the control room from the studio and noticed a large fat bloke with a shaven head wearing a decrepit old tan Mac. He was carrying a plastic shopping bag and had a fairly benign, but vacant, expression on his face. His appearance would not have generally gained him admittance beyond studio reception, so I assumed that he must have been a friend of one of the engineers. Eventually, David asked me if I knew who he was. Even then, I couldn't place him, and I had to be told. It was Sid. I still remember that rush of confusion." We first saw these photos of this meeting in the Have You Got It Yet documentary from 2 years ago. Here they are again. I know I said this wouldn't be like a Wish You Were Here episode, but we as fans often wonder how Sid got there, how he managed to show up on this specific day as Floyd were working on a song they wrote about him. It's like this great cosmic coincidence. From the research I did from my Wish You Were Here blog piece, my best guess is that there was a reception at EMI celebrating Dave and Ginger's upcoming wedding. Lots of people from Floyd's past were involved, including ex-managers Peter Jenner and Andrew King. It's likely that's why Sid came around. I believe these photos were taken by Phil Taylor as well. We're so lucky that he just happened to have a camera on him and grabbed these. And now we know that Nick took this Polaroid. The caption here is really respectful towards Sid as well. My favorite photos in here, though, are the Jill Furmanovsky shots of the guys working in the studio. I've posted them before. Yes, these are my absolute favorite photos from this era. They really capture the difficult mood of these sessions, which I believe translated to the music. Wish You Were Here is a very emotionally charged album. Now, all the way in the back, we have the Blu-ray disc of the Dolby Atmos remix by James Guthrie, plus the 5.1 mix from 2009, the OG stereo mix, and the quadraphonic mix, plus 2 CDs with all of the extras and outtakes that we have on the vinyl records. Very creative to have them packed up like this. Having discs rattling around in dinky little cardboard sleeves that inevitably get misplaced is super disappointing. Do I wish the CDs weren't just naked here? They had, like, a little sleeve and pocket like the Blu-ray does. Yeah. But I really like when box sets have mixed media like this. Physical and digital formats, visual and auditory elements. The thing about Floyd is that they were such a visual band. I mean, their album art, their tour visuals, the entirety of the wall experience. From the outset, really. The Liquid Light Show days at the UFO Club, and the whole gorilla suit wearing the Man in the Journey nonsense. It's really difficult to translate that visual element to a box set. This does it. Let me take out the Blu-ray disc. I did bend the book trying to get this out earlier. This disc, with the Mike Millard bootleg of the live show, Gerald Scarf's Welcome to the Machine animation, and Storm Thorgerson's short film from 2000. Incredible. Between Pompeii and this, I've decided I really like how Steven Wilson handles live material. He stitched those Millard recordings together. To be clear, this is not a Pompeii level project, a remix focused on restoration. To be clear, this is not a Pompeii level mix because it wasn't recorded on Pompeii level equipment. There is surface noise, and there are some points where the tape goes all wonky. I don't mind though, it's not distracting. Hearing how live Dark Sides evolved over the years is always cool. All things considered, this is a good one. You know, any number of the things that could have and did go wrong in previous iterations of Live Dark Side, those did not happen. The standout number, though, and the reason I believe this particular set was chosen for this box, Have a Cigar. This Have a Cigar fucking rips. It confirms my feeling that Nick Mason was consistently a much more powerful drummer in a live setting than he was in the studio. He's doing stuff on here that totally changes the mood and the energy of Have a Cigar in the best way. Then, after the book and your discs, we get to the fashionable white stripe in this box of black spines. The original album. Oh god, I have to go get this! I forgot, I reconfigured my entire office space so all my Floyd shit's in a different spot. Now, if you'll remember from the time I attempted a Vinyl Monday on Wish You Were Here, I have the alternate cover version. So I'm kind of in this cool position where most people only get to see this shot in the booklet, but I have it on an LP, and this is the first copy of Wish You Were Here I have ever owned with the original album cover. The story behind this photo is fucking crazy. Stuntman Ronnie Rondell, rest in peace, posed across Danny Rogers at the Warner Brothers lot in LA. He's shaking Danny's hand as his suit was set on fire. No CGI, they actually had to light a guy on fire for this. Aubrey Powell needed to take at least 15 shots to get this as the wind was acting up. It took off Ronnie's eyebrows, but it was far from the most reckless stunt hypnosis pulled for this packaging. Aubrey remembers the poor model at Lake Mono nearly drowning as he was strapped to a yoga chair in the mud. Hypnosis presented Floyd with this postcard, the front cover image, the inner sleeve image with the red veil, and the back cover. The businessman in the desert. He sinks into the sand, quote, morally absent, lacking integrity, not really who he thinks he is, and is therefore absent. No face. Faceless, as Storm Thorgerson described him. Floyd accepted all these images, and we do see them all across this set, except there are no postcards. Am I bummed those weren't produced? Yes, literally, why aren't they here? Floyd must have been listening to my original video on this album saying they should release an edition on clear vinyl that matches with the disc on the back cover that the businessman holds. All of the records in this set are on clear wax. Good shout. I did a comparison between my original copy and how this sounds. This remix sounds good. Bear in mind, Wish You Were Here sounded great to begin with, save for the overhaul of Animals, which of course was recorded in a studio built by their own rock star hubris. The endless remixing of Floyd's catalog only raises the ceiling on what was already a very high floor. These guys had top-of-the-line equipment and facilities available to them, meaning their albums sound great before you remix them. On to these these alternate takes, some of which we've heard before on Immersion, some of which are new to us for this set. Really quick, I appreciate the detail of the inner sleeves. I am going to add my own inner sleeves to these just so they're a little less wear and tear than the cardstock. But again, the care to the package overall, everything is really intentional from top to bottom. The different prints, machine parts, and top hats, it's all cohesive. Disc 2 Side 1 has wine glasses from the Household Objects project, attempted twice between 1971 and 1974. It of course led to the introduction of Shine On You Crazy Diamond, blah 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 blah. We have an alternate version of Have a Cigar, Wish You Were Here featuring Stefan Grappelli on violin. Side 2 of Disc 2 has an instrumental version of Shine On You Crazy Diamond, both halves linked together, and a demo of Welcome to the Machine. You Gotta Be Crazy, which we do hear later on this set, it did show us that Roger would wind up with these lyrics that were way too wordy and he'd have to pare them down or shuffle around the line structure. This is on full display on the Welcome to the Machine demo. You bought a guitar to worry your mom. So close, but no cigar. But hearing the Roy Harper influence on the original track was really cool. These are cool to hear, but I understand why they didn't make the cut. You can tell exactly which stage each piece was abandoned at. Have a Cigar in particular sparked this feeling in me. I always wondered why Roger's vocal take was passed up. Here it is. Now I understand exactly why. And the violin on the title track feels superfluous, even if I like it. One of the big things I've learned through writing about music this year is there is a difference between liking something and recognizing that it does or doesn't serve the greater body of work. The rest of the alternate takes, excuse my radiator kicking on, are on the third disc. A second Welcome to the Machine demo, more takes of Wish You Were Here, and the new stereo mix of Shine On You Crazy Diamond. Hearing those damn talk box vocalizations from Pigs crop up again on this revisited Welcome to the Machine was a fucking jump scare. You know how I feel about that thing! But my main bone to pick with this whole package appears on this disc, and it's the new stereo mix of Shine On You Crazy Diamond. I didn't like how the lead guitar was cleaned up in the first part. The perceived muddiness is crucial to building the mood and tone of the song. I do love pushing Nick's drums in the back half though. I always thought that Nick was kind of coasting through Floyd's classic period. He could perform better live. He excelled in their experimental period for this reason. Favoring him in this mix challenged my opinion. The concept of uniting both halves of Shine On You Crazy Diamond is nothing new. People have been doing it for a long time, and it's how Shine On You Crazy Diamond was initially supposed to be presented on Wish You Were Here. It was supposed to take up a whole side of the disc. But I strongly prefer it bookending the album, acting as a thematic opener and closer. This isn't as egregious as, like, replacing takes on Lookout Joe for Tonight's the Night 50th, that's for sure, but I can handle it. Overall, the studio outtakes and extras are no revelation. We've heard a lot of this before, but it gives insight into Floyd's creative process, figuring out what worked and what didn't. These guys were so spectacularly inefficient in the studio, and I quote, they could take forever to do anything. So it's nice for us, 50 years down the line, to have like a condensed version of their famous trial and error to consume. I was most interested in the live disc, the Wembley stuff. I've seen a lot of people online, wondering about Floyd's potential Volt. The sad truth is that Floyd were god-awful at documenting their post-Darkside live shows because they didn't see the point. There just isn't the documentation like we had for, say, The Man in the Journey. This LP has Shine On You Crazy Diamond and You Gotta Be Crazy, an early version of Dogs. Notably missing is Raving and Drooling, which became Sheep. I've been blathering about Wembley, Wembley, Wembley for a long time now, and we just have, like, the same stuff that we've always had, and they're not even, you know, presented together. Like, why not have Wembley, You Gotta Be Crazy, Wembley, Raving and Drooling, and, like, Shine On You Crazy Diamond on a single-sided disc? I don't understand withholding this. On top of not having much in the vault at all, Floyd are very choosy about what they put out. They recognize the floor is very high, as is the ceiling. We've heard this stuff before, but am I glad it's in print again? Yeah. And the final LP-shaped sleeve is for the ephemera, as they call it. It's the exact same road case design they used for Pompeii. You are not slick. B-roll Abby will be showing you all of this because a poster is quite a lot to be unfolding here talking to you. The book was honestly pushing it. A reproduction of the illustrated tour program, which I think I will take out and flip through, just because it's a little bit easier to handle. Front, back, a little comic with Rick. Raj of the Rovers. Freaking cute. Captain Mason, RN. Oh, where's the Dave one is like, oh, Rich right. He's rich and he's right. I'm not showing this because there are, like, boobs there. The Exploits of Dave Daring. Cute, like, boyhood fantasies, as if rock and roll isn't already, like, the ultimate boyhood fantasy. This is a replica of the Japanese Welcome to the Machine single with Have a Cigar on the backside. My final verdict. I need to, like, pick something to hold up for this. This is not a cash grab box set. I've felt that way about other sets I've received before. This release is of integrity. Like I said, nothing is really a revelation. It's just a compact presentation of Floyd's creative process. But what I'm trying to say is that this box is more than the sum of its parts. It encapsulates the whole Wish You Were Here era, starting from when Rick bought the VCS-3 back in the Obscured by Clouds days. Acquiring that piece of equipment kicked off the entirety of Floyd's classic period. Darkside, Wish You Were Here, Animals, The Wall. This box set takes us through Household Object, Wish You Were Here sessions themselves, through tour and a significant live show leading up to what would be the genesis of Animals. It's a little bit of it all, and very little of it feels superfluous. This is an intentional, respectful, quality presentation of material that demands even, respect. Considering the weight of Wish You Were Here for the group themselves and for the fans, I hoped that they would do right by this set. They absolutely have. The fact that someone orbiting Floyd's team saw all of the material that I put out this year across all my endeavors, YouTube, Tracking Angle, my own website, covering 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 Floyd-related projects, and sending the 9th to me before it was even out. What a privilege and an honor, and it's not lost on me, kind of, the poetic slant of all of this, because I studied what turned out to be a year of Floyd coverage with a discography review of Syd Barrett, and I'm closing the year with an album that is largely about Syd Barrett. I thought this was gonna be an epilogue to all this Floyding, but it turns out to be a really beautiful conclusion. If you like what I do here, you should like this video and subscribe to my channel. I usually post, like, honest-to-goodness album reviews on my flagship series, Vinyl Monday, which goes up Monday mornings at 11. Thank you so much for watching. I am so f***ing done with Pink Floyd for the foreseeable future. Goodbye!